Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Soubry. I'm the President and CEO of NFI Group. Welcome to our facility here today. Prime Minister Carney, thank you for visiting. Minister Duguid, the rest of the candidates, ladies and gentlemen, happy April Fool's Day. I'm pleased to report, though, there are no fools here at NFI. Now, we're standing in the middle of a very, very special and unique Canadian company. This business was founded by Mr. John Koval in 1930, a Ukrainian immigrant to Canada. And today we are the market leader in North American bus coach and manufacturing, North American parts distributing, and we are the largest maker of double-deck buses in the world. Now we have on display two of our vehicles here, both made in Winnipeg, a battery electric transit bus headed to TTC in Toronto, and a J4500 Cleat Diesel MCI that I'm thrilled to hear the Prime Minister showed up on this morning. Now, we're a publicly traded company on the TSX. We're headquartered here in Winnipeg. We employ 9,000 people on our team members, 3,000 of them in Canada, 4,000 in the United States, and 2,000 in the UK internationally. And our company works with 7 different unions, representing 53% of our workforce. And I want to give a shout out to our Unifor team and our team members here today. As I explained to the Prime Minister on the tour, it has 4 wheels and a steering wheel, but this is not automotive. These vehicles are highly customized, highly specialized, and unique for each of our operators. We have about 1,500 suppliers here in North America, and cumulatively today, we're proud to say we have 100,000 vehicles made by our team on the road every day in service, moving people. And as we say, moving people is moving the world's most precious commodity. So we take quality, efficiency, and safety very seriously. Now, many of you may know, and our team sure knows, the last 5 years have not been kind to our company. First, we had the global pandemic, then we had global supply chain crises. Many of our competitors did not make it, but we did. And NFI team are survivors. We're resilient Manitobans and very proud Canadians. And we're very grateful, Prime Minister, for you coming today. We had the wonderful opportunity of showing the Prime Minister an investment that is happening, an investment by NFI, an investment supported by Premier Canoe in the province of Manitoba, an investment by the federal government through Prairies Can in what we call Project True North, or the All-Canadian Build. For the last 15 years, we have rationalized our facility and capability where we just made shells here in Winnipeg, and we shipped the shells to the United States for completion. Some came back to Canada, and some went to the United States customers. So in September of this year, when all of this construction is completed, Canadian customers' buses will be 100% built in Canada, for Canada, by Canadians. Now, in this, the good news is there's a win-win here, because while we can do this and increase jobs for Canadians, high-skilled, high-paid technical jobs, we free up U.S. capacity that we have for U.S. customers. So we have a win on that side of the border and a win on this side of the border. So, with that, on behalf of our team members, Prime Minister, thank you for coming. It is my pleasure to introduce the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, a very good friend of NFI. In fact, Terry Duguid, the Minister, could actually probably give this tour. You've been here enough. Really appreciate you spending the day with us. Over to you, Minister Terry Duguid.
Bonjour tout le monde, c'est un grand plaisir d'être ici avec vous ce matin. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Paul, for those kind words and welcoming me back, and for the incredible leadership that you have demonstrated here at New Flyer and positioning this company at the cutting edge of the clean transportation sector, and also for your great community work. You are a great Winnipegger, and it's such a pleasure to be here with my fellow Liberal candidates to welcome the leader of the Liberal Party, Mark Carney, to New Flyer, which is an institution here in Transcona, a working class community where I grew up. I know firsthand that the workers here in Transcona and across Manitoba are worried we are facing a crisis. President Trump's tariff threats are not just words, they are hurting real people, our friends, our neighbors. What I'm hearing at the doors is that Winnipeggers want a fighter, someone who will stand up for Canada, someone who will stand up for Canadians. But above all, they want to know how we're going to build a stronger economy, an economy that can thrive no matter what the United States and its president chooses to do. My colleagues and I also hear about rising everyday costs and inflation, and how families want their lives to be more affordable. That includes more affordable housing prices, energy prices, taxes, and affordable dental and childcare. As I've gotten to know our leader, one thing has become abundantly clear. He has a plan for everything. He has a comprehensive plan to improve affordability for Winnipeggers, a plan to fight back against President Trump's tariffs, a plan to protect our workers and our businesses. And that's why I'm proud to stand with him today, to stand for Canada Strong. Please give a warm Manitoba welcome to the leader of the Liberal Party in Canada, Prime Minister Mark Carney.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul. It is, wow, what an honor to be here at NFI. Bonjour tout le monde. Good morning, everyone. You know, et je voudrais commencer à remercier New Flyer de nous accueillir ici aujourd'hui. I want to thank, above all, the dedicated, innovative, hard-working members of this company behind me, around us, across North America, stretching into Europe, that have made NFI, have made New Flyer the ultimate Canadian success story that it is. Incredible. And for decades, you've produced high-quality, reliable, highly customized buses that have been sold across the world, across North America. You've recognized early the need to address climate change and acted with new zero-emission, all-electric buses, one of the reasons why Terry has been here so many times. You believe in Canada. You believe in Canada. Your All-Canadian Build initiative is exactly how we must respond as a country going forward as the world changes. With Canadian materials and, above all, dedicated, talented Canadian workers who make New Flyer a true global success story. You are what makes Canada strong. And you are what we need as we face the biggest crisis of our lifetimes. President Trump is in the process of trying to fundamentally restructure the U.S. economy, and that means that our economy here needs to change dramatically as well. And as I made clear to President Trump in our call last week, I will reject all attempts to weaken Canada, all attempts to wear us down, to break us down so that America can own us. That will never, ever happen. Notre réponse, se battre, protéger et bâtir. Se battre avec des contre-mesures qui auront l'impact maximal aux États-Unis et l'impact minimal ici au Canada. Protéger nos travailleurs et nos industries, parce que nous devons prendre soin de nous-mêmes. Nous devons veiller les uns sur les autres. Et bâtir une économie canadienne renouvelée, bâtir un Canada fort. Now, I want to take a step back today and talk about what building Canada strong means. At its core, it means an economy that creates good, high-paying jobs, grows incomes, an economy that's resilient, that can withstand shocks from abroad. But it's more than that. What makes me a liberal, what makes my colleagues liberals, is an unwavering belief that an economy is only strong when it serves everyone. Because in society, people can slip through the cracks. They can be left behind. And that was the reality for far too many Canadians, even before President Trump's tariffs, and now because of them, many more Canadians are at risk. So we need to act urgently, purposefully, and forcefully. Canadians need a fighter, yes, to stand up to the President, but also a fighter to protect your jobs and your businesses, and crucially, to build an economy that everyone can afford. So I want to talk a bit today about how a new Liberal government will make your life more affordable. And that starts with fixing what's not working. Now, I'm not a career politician. I'm a pragmatist. So when I see something that doesn't make sense, something that doesn't work, I change it. On my first day as Prime Minister, I ended the consumer carbon tax. Today, that change takes effect. And that, as you may have noticed, those of you driving into work, many, I'm sure, taking the bus, but some of them driving into work, that you may notice that you'll soon be paying up to 18 cents less per liter than you did yesterday to fill up your tank. Savings almost reaching $200 per year on gas for your car on average. It also means you'll pay, on average, about $300 less a year on your home heating bill. Removing the consumer carbon tax will save Manitoba families around $800 per year in upfront costs. And that's immediate relief, but it's only the start. We will also, as a government, double down on what's working already. $10 a day childcare is working. 900,000 children across Canada are already being supported by this program. It's saving families here in Manitoba up to $2,800 per child per year. And on average across the country, up to around $10,000 per child per year. And this child care program is good for the economy. For every dollar we spend on child care, about $2.80 in economic value is created in return. In simple language, we are all better off if more parents can work if they wish to. That's the right thing to do. It's the economic thing to do. It's an economic no-brainer to everyone except for Pierre Poilievre, who would cancel it. Notre programme pour les soins dentaires fonctionne bien aussi. Ce programme épargne aux familles plus de $870 par année. Par conséquent, dès ma première semaine comme Premier ministre, mon gouvernement l'a rendu plus accessible pour que 5 millions de personnes de plus puissent en bénéficier. Ça s'ajoute aux 3,4 millions Canadiens et Canadiennes qui ont déjà accès au programme. 1,7 million ont déjà reçu des soins abordables et accessibles. Certains pour la première fois de leur vie. Durant ma première semaine comme Premier ministre, mon gouvernement a aussi enlevé la TPS sur l'achat de première propriété coûtant moins de $1 million. Parce que les Canadiennes et Canadiens, surtout les jeunes, ne peuvent plus attendre. Ils méritent une maison abordable maintenant. Ici à Winnipeg, ça représente une réduction de plus de 7 300 $ sur le prix moyen d'un condo et une réduction de plus de 12 300 $ sur le prix moyen d'une maison. 18 cents per liter off the cost to fill up your tank. $300 off your annual home heating bill. Hundreds or even thousands of dollars off the bill each time you go to the dentist. Continuing child care that's delivering savings of up to $2,800 per year here in Manitoba per child. These are savings that Manitobans can already expect, largely because the progress that we made in my first 9 days as Prime Minister. But we can accomplish much more if we win this election. And that begins with a middle-class tax cut. On the first day of this campaign, I committed to a middle-class tax cut that will save the average two-income family up to $825 a year. And yesterday, I announced Canada's most ambitious housing plan since the Second World War. It's a plan that has many components, but the bottom line is this. We're going to make Canada the leader in prefabricated and modular housing. We're going to create tens of thousands of new, not just jobs, tens of thousands of new careers in the trades. And we're going to cut the cost of building homes by as much as 20%. We're also slashing development charges on, which in effect are taxes on home building. We're going to slash those in half. And as I mentioned earlier, we're cutting the GST on homes for up to $1 million for first-time buyers. Ce n'est pas seulement un plan pour faire augmenter l'offre en logement et faire baisser les prix, c'est un vrai plan pour que l'accession à la propriété redevienne possible pour tout le monde. Our plan is making it more affordable for families to purchase a home. For an average family here in Winnipeg, this makes purchasing a condo much more affordable by saving them more than $3,000 on development charges, $7,300 on GST. And with all of these measures, a two-earner family with a child in Winnipeg that has a household income of around $70,000 can expect $15,000, I repeat, in savings. And on top of those savings, with our housing plan, and by building more homes more efficiently through modular and other technologies that could reduce the cost of building homes by up to 20%. This could save another $45,000 for families that purchase these homes here in Winnipeg. This will go a long, long way. Terry said I had a plan. We have a plan, and it's detailed. And we need one because this will go a long way to help Canadians weather the storm intensified by President Trump's tariffs. And this is all before we take the measures that will create higher paying jobs, such as creating one Canadian economy out of 13 that we have today, and measures to diversify our trading partners around the world. Now, Pierre Poilievre doesn't get any of this. He thinks that slash and burn is the answer to every problem. $10 a day childcare, he'll eliminate it. Il est contre les mesures qui permettent de bâtir plus de logements et faire baisser les prix, comme le fonds pour accélérer la construction de logements. Il va s'en débarrasser. Il refuse de travailler avec les leaders municipaux dont on a besoin pour bâtir plus de logements. Il a dit qu'ils sont incompétents. He's against serious solutions because on every occasion he puts ideology over ideas. He's the type of lifelong politician that worships at the altar of the free market despite never having had to make a payroll. With him, it's everyone for for himself. To create prosperity that includes everybody, to create affordability for everyone, we need to all work together. We have to do big things in this country. We have to move forward because we are masters in our own home. Nous sommes maîtres chez nous. We can control our economic destiny. But to do so, we will need to do things previously thought impossible at speeds we haven't seen in generations. But the bottom line is, we, in Winnipeg, in Manitoba, across Canada, we can give ourselves more than any foreign government, including the United States, can ever take away from us. And that includes, at its core, a better, more affordable life for every Canadian. For generations, Canadians have built this great country on the idea that if you work hard, like the people here at New Flyer, if you work hard, you should be able to afford a good life, a good job that covers the bills, have a good home in a welcoming and safe community. And it's the duty of my government and governments at all levels to make that promise a reality. Under a new Liberal government, we will build a Canada you can afford. We will build an independent future for our country stronger than ever. We will build Canada strong. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions.
All right, we'll be taking 15 minutes of the media delegation's question, starting with Bloomberg.
Hi, Mr. Carney, Brian Platt with Bloomberg. There's been a few reports over the past few days about what the Trump administration may do tomorrow, including the possibility of 20% tariffs on the entire world. Does the government have any communication? Has the government received any communication about what the Trump administration may do tomorrow? What's your own personal expectation?
Thank you for the question. As you know, I spoke with the President last week. We had a very constructive, very productive conversation. Part of that conversation included a commitment, two commitments. The first was that after the election, the Government of Canada and the Government of the United States, the President and the next Prime Minister, which I hope will be me. I'm working hard every day to be that person, but we will sit down. Those individuals will sit down and begin comprehensive negotiations. That's the first thing. The second thing we agreed was that our principals, our ministers, would be in close contact during this period. And that is the case. Minister LeBlanc has been in contact with Secretary Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce Lutnick. That is a regular, ongoing conversation. Ministre Joly avec son homologue dans le cas de M. Rubio. So we're in close contact. We, of course, will be looking with interest what is announced tomorrow. As I also mentioned to the President and was very clear, we will respond to additional measures. So we will put in place retaliatory measures if there are additional measures put against Canada tomorrow. Thank you. En français, tu sais quoi, il y a deux engagements pendant la conversation entre moi et Monsieur le Président Trump. Premièrement, il y aura une négociation globale entre le Canada et les États-Unis après notre élection fédérale. Deuxièmement, nos ministres vont être dans des conversations fréquentes et ouvertes. Et c'est le cas. C'est le cas maintenant avec les conversations entre M. Leblanc et puis M. Joly et leur homologue américain. Et point final, j'ai avisé, Monsieur le Président, que le Canada va prendre des contre-tarifs s'il y aura d'autres mesures demain, d'autres mesures américaines demain. Okay.
In terms of Canada's response, you said you're looking at measures, you want to do measures that are minimally impactful on Canadians. But of that list that the Trudeau government released of $155 billion, there's a lot of items on that list that will be quite impactful on Canadians.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, for example, passenger vehicles. A lot of the best-selling vehicles in Canada are made in the U.S. Are you still using that $155 billion list, or do you expect a more narrow response?
Well, Brian, this is a crucial question. And let me say in general, and then I'll give you a couple of quick examples. We are going to be very deliberate in terms of the measures we take to fight for Canada, fight against these unjustified measures by the U.S. administration, but also to protect, to have that minimal impact in Canada. Now, I'm going to use a specific example. Paul and I were discussing earlier today this great company, which produces a number of buses for the United States using in many cases U.S. components, and so the need for so-called remission orders around those, so that New Flyer remains competitive and all the subsidiary remains competitive. That's smart. That's smart from the Canadian perspective, and that's the kind of approach this government is taking. The second thing to say, though, is with respect to the auto sector. Given the current structure of U.S. auto tariffs, we have held back until we see the next measures from the U.S. tomorrow. We have held back. But we will not disadvantage Canadian producers and Canadian workers relative to American workers. So there are measures that we can take that at a minimum level the playing field with the United States. And again, it depends on the broader measures they take tomorrow, if indeed they do against Canada. Thank you.
Next question.
En français, pour tout cela, alors, en ce qui concerne les contre-tarifs, le principe, c'est d'avoir un impact maximal aux États-Unis et un impact minimal ici au Canada. Mais il y a et ça c'est absolument fondamental pour nous. Et notre réponse va être intelligente, je vous assure. Mais il y a des exemples, par exemple les ordres de rémission pour une société, une entreprise comme New Flyer, en ce qui concerne les components, les pièces américaines. Et deuxièmement, en ce qui concerne le secteur automobile, nous allons maintenir, rétablir la concurrence canadienne par rapport aux Américaines qui a été déstabilisée par leurs mesures. Okay.
Morning.
Next question.
Good morning, Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News. It appears the involvement of the RCMP forced candidate Paul Cheng to bow out of the race. Meanwhile, the Conservatives just removed their problematic candidate in Windsor within an hour of learning of issues of this individual. Why didn't you do the same with Cheng? And was this a teachable moment for you?
Mr. Cheng made his resignation, offered his resignation last night. I accepted it. As I said yesterday, his comments were deeply troubling and regrettable. We will move on with looking for a new candidate for Markham. And I'll leave it at that. En français, d'accord. Hier soir, j'ai accepté la démission de M. Cheng. Comme je l'ai dit hier, ses commentaires étaient terriblement offensifs. C'est terriblement offensif et on va chercher à partir de maintenant de nouveaux candidats pour Markham Unionville.
How do you reconcile keeping Bill C-69 with your plans to build infrastructure in Canada? Do you plan to repeal Bill C-69?
We do not plan to repeal Bill C-69, to answer your question directly. What we have said and made very clear 10 days ago, formally with the First Minister's meeting, is that we will move for projects of national interest to remove duplication in terms of environmental assessments and other approvals, and we will follow, as the federal government, the principle of one project, one approval to move forward from that. And so what's essential is to work at this time of crisis to come together as a nation, all levels of government, to focus on those projects that are going to make material differences to our country, to Canadian workers, and to our future, and work closely together. And the federal government is looking to lead with that by saying we will accept provincial environmental assessments to move forward with that for example, clean energy projects or conventional energy projects. There are many others that could be there. Last point, which in many respects is the first point, we will always ensure that these projects move forward in partnership with First.
Prochaine question.
Oui, bonjour, M. Carney. Laurence Martin de Radio-Canada. Les Américains voient la loi 96 comme un obstacle au commerce. Est-ce que vous êtes d'accord avec ça? Est-ce que vous vous engagez à la protéger coûte que coûte dans une négociation avec eux?
OK, merci pour votre question. Soyons clairs. Dès que le début de ma campagne électorale, ma campagne pour la chefferie, j'ai dit jamais nous ne serons jamais des négociations avec les États-Unis au sujet ou des sujets qui impactent la langue française, la culture et la gestion de l'offre. Alors, c'est jamais sur la table.
Juste pour clarifier, vous la protégez coûte que coûte, la loi 96. Vous la protégez.
Je vais protéger, oui.
Mais comment est-ce que vous pouvez protéger une loi que vous avez l'intention de contester en Cour suprême?
Il y a plusieurs aspects de la loi et il y a une question des droits. C'est une question pour des cours, pour des juges. Et c'est une autre question, c'est un autre aspect. C'est la question des les droits fondamentaux ici au Canada. C'est une question à défendre la CAQ.
Pour vous?
Prochaine question.
Il n'y a pas de contradiction pour vous?
Il n'y a pas de contradiction. Non, pas de contradiction. C'est la chose fondamentale. Pour moi, la question qui pose maintenant, c'est la négociation avec les États-Unis afin de régler cette crise. Et je suis absolument clair. Jamais la langue française, jamais la culture canadienne, y compris la culture québécoise, et jamais la gestion de l'offre seront sur la table.
Next question.
Hi, Mr. Carney. It's Stuart Thompson from the National Post. On Friday, the Post published a piece revealing 10 instances of plagiarism in your doctoral thesis. Your party responded by attacking the academic who was quoted in the piece. Some of your surrogates mentioned pulling media subsidies because they didn't like the piece. First of all, did you plagiarize? And is this a demeanor we can expect from a Carney government? Will you attack the media when you don't like the work we do?
Thank you for your question. I'm pleased that there's such interest in my doctoral thesis. It's sort of languished on the shelf for over 3 decades. I think what you'll find in the middle of that piece is a very clear refutation of these quote allegations by senior-most academic at Oxford, Dr. Meyer, who was categorical in her rejection of many of the conclusions that you just made. So if your question is, does a professor at Oxford, well, I think the statement of Dr. Meyer stands is pretty obvious where it is, and as I say, I'm pleased that there is intense interest in a game theory thesis of 30-something years ago.
Next question.
Hi, Mr. Carney. Alessia Pasifumi here with the Canadian Press. Your ministers have been telling me for more than a year that a Poilievre government wouldn't be focused on the issue of reconciliation. Yet you're here in Winnipeg, which is a majorly Indigenous city, with no policy announcement for Indigenous people, no public meetings with them. What does that signal about the Liberal Party's stance on reconciliation with Indigenous people?
Yeah, thank you for your question. I'll say a couple of things, if I may. The first, in my opening comments as Prime Minister on the day that I was sworn in acknowledged the fundamental role of First Nations, Inuit and Métis peoples to the founding of our country. Within 2.5 days, I was in Iqaluit with the Premier and meeting First Nations. The Inuit people, sorry, the Inuit people and the Métis. Within the first week, I met with all the leaders of the Indigenous organizations. Within the first week, we announced as a government the doubling and the broadening of the Indigenous loan program. So the process of reconciliation, which is fundamental to our country, fundamentally part of our being and essential, must proceed. And we've taken those initial steps. This is a long process, but we've taken those initial steps to move forward. Thank you.
Prochaine question.
Sierra Buttons, ABTN National News. Prime Minister Carney, you've been talking a lot about speeding up mineral extraction and energy projects in your campaign. I'm wondering, how do you plan to square that with First Nations' right to consultation and accommodation?
Thank you very much for this question. I can't stress this enough. This is fundamental, and when I speak of projects of national interest, when I speak of, for example, critical mineral extraction, which is a tremendous opportunity for this country, but can only proceed if there is free, prior, and informed consent. Only proceed, in my judgment, if there's full participation from First Nations groups. And I have, on multiple occasions, unfortunately on multiple occasions, had to remind Mr. Poilievre of that fact. For him, he can fly into Iqaluit without consulting the premiers, without meeting with any First Nation groups, makes an announcement and flies back. For him, he can speak of building an energy corridor or building Energy East as a pipeline without mentioning First Nations. I always have that at the heart. And to make that more concrete and to make that a reality, as I just mentioned, we doubled, I'll round it to that, our Indigenous Loans Guarantees program, which is now $10 billion, which finances, to be clear, these aren't loans, these are loans for full investment participation if those First Nations choose to support a project and wish to be part owners. And we broadened it across from just whatever it was before, last point, from just energy across to a wide range of projects, which would include critical minerals. So it's there, but we're also putting it into action.
Next question.
Sorry.
Glenn McGregor, City News. You mentioned the drop at the pump motorists are experiencing today. Are you convinced that is durable, that oil and gas companies are not going to take advantage of, I don't know if it's in your thesis or not, but the inelasticity of the demand for gasoline? Are you concerned about that they may raise their prices again over time to make up for the drop in the carbon tax? And if so, what would you do about that? Well,
Okay, a couple of things. Thanks for raising this. It's incredibly important that Canadians are seeing that flow through of the drop in the price of the pump. It's important that the Competition Bureau, the competition authorities are very alert to ensuring what you're suggesting might happen or could happen doesn't happen, first point. Second point, we all know through long history that the price of gasoline at the pump also fluctuates with the price of oil around the world. So there will be some fluctuations in and around there. The third point, and I'll hand back to you, Glenn, is that what we said from the start was we will cancel the consumer carbon tax, which I did on my first day as Prime Minister. We recognize that there is also a rebate that comes with that carbon tax that gets people ahead. We kept the rebate in place for this. The rebate checks will show up later this month for people, as usual, even though the carbon tax is not being collected. We kept it in place to help with the transition so that if we are returned to government, our tax cut will be in place, which then more than makes up for the rebate. I'll hand back.
On your affordability theme, you mentioned daycare, you mentioned dental care. I haven't heard you talk about pharmacare, and I know your party was kind of leveraged into this by the NDP. Are you committed, if you form government, to expanding that above and beyond diabetes and birth control medications for people who don't have employer plans or provincial plans?
Committed absolutely to keeping what is in place. I think those broader judgments will take place if there were to be an expansion, it's in the context of decisions around a range of priorities. But the core remains on pharmacare, and clearly childcare, dental care, the tax cut, the changes I've outlined. And I'm going to underscore one last time, hand to your colleague, the changes in housing. The ambition in housing is enormous, and the changes in housing in terms of the impact of an affordability in a few years will, for those who are buying houses, have the potential to more than triple the impact that's being seen.
We'll take one last question.
Okay.
Bonjour, Monsieur Carney, Hélène Moka de la presse canadienne. J'aimerais revenir sur la loi 96 des entreprises américaines qui ont exprimé leur préoccupation face à l'obligation d'avoir à traduire leur marque de commerce, des termes génériques sur leur emballage. Vous venez de dire qu'il n'y aura pas de négociation sur le français et la culture, mais comment s'assurer du respect par les Américains s'ils sentent que vous ferez partie, en quelque sorte, d'une contestation de cette loi?
J'ai beaucoup d'expérience dans les négociations. OK? J'ai beaucoup. Et dans une négociation, si on met des choses à côté, ils sont à côté. Je donne tout le temps cet engagement. Je mets à côté la langue française. Je mets à côté la gestion de l'ordre. Je mets à côté la culture. C'est jamais sur la table. C'est comment on fait une négociation. On doit être clair en avance. Je suis absolument clair. À vous, madame.
Donc, vous pouvez donner des garanties que la protection du français ne sera jamais remise en cause?
Je viens de le dire. C'est un engagement. C'est un engagement personnel. Et c'est très important. Alors, merci pour votre question, mais c'est très important, mais je suis absolument clair sur cela.
Merci beaucoup, c'est ce qui m'a fait.
Okay, merci.
Merci beaucoup, c'est ce qui m'a fait la conférence de presse d'aujourd'hui.
OK, merci beaucoup.